Wow, that's a beautiful cast, Steve. Steve Choate is one of the best single spey traditional casters in the world. He's won this event in a championship in England, and he's going to demonstrate the traditional spey cast. Steve, tell us a little bit about this.
Well, you'll notice that I'm using a real wide grip. I'm using a fixed length of line beyond the rod tip and myself so that I can just pick this line slowly and tightly, rotate my body, and then fire it back to where it was. Just putting my line back to where it was called a switch cast. This is a switch cast. So you pick up the line, lift, bring it back, touch the line, the anchor, and then cast forward. This style of casting was started well over 100 years ago, wasn't it? It was started over 100 years ago on the River Spey over in Scotland and England. And what's the benefit of this cast? Why do people still enjoy this style? The biggest benefit to this is that it doesn't require back cast space. You don't have any need for room back here if we have tall banks or trees or brush behind us. We can very easily pick the line, set it here at our anchor point, about a rod's length off of our casting shoulder, and place it back onto the water very efficiently and very effectively. And I'm also noticing you don't retrieve very much line. You leave a long line out all the time. Isn't that right? That's exactly right. So you don't have to do any stripping, so we can just cover a very, very broad piece of water as we move down the river. So each cast, you step down and cover the water. Exactly. What kind of rod works the best with this style of casting? What's great about this style of casting is that we are using a fixed length out of the rod tip. So a very progressive action works extremely well because we can use a very short line and just use the tip of our rod to cast that length of line. Or as we work our way down and the river either becomes wider or we need to make a longer cast, we just let out a little bit more line. And now the rod bends further down into the center of the rod. So a moderate taper, progressive, but overall it's quite powerful, correct? Very powerful and very forgiving. It's got a very broad load range in the amount of weight that it takes to flex this rod to make the cast. So when we want to make a really long cast, it just progressively bends further and further down into a very powerful butt section. All right, show us one more good change of direction single spey cast. And this is probably the most effective cast with this style, is the single spey. One more time. Okay, after the swing, it's completely down the river. On the dangle, very slow lift. Basically rotate to your casting target, rotate your body, and fire. Beautiful. One other version of that is called a spiral single spey, and it's very similar in that we do everything nice and slowly. We just throw a little corkscrew in it, rotate our body, and then cast over to our target. And one of the things we're trying to do is keep this anchor within about a rod's distance or 1.5 rod lengths away. We try not to let the anchor go too far away. A good caster can be spotted immediately by the anchor location. Very nice. So that's an example of traditional spey casting, still very effective. And also there's a lot of people changing their application of this rod. They're using other styles of lines as well, isn't that so? That's very much true. Over the course of since the 1800s when spey casting was developed, the Scandinavians started throwing shorter and shorter lines called shooting heads. Here in the Pacific Northwest, people are using what are called Skagit lines. Well, this rod is versatile enough that you can use all those casting styles with this rod. It's extremely efficient for throwing Skagit lines where a sunk line presentation for your fly is needed. So this is a versatile rod. You can do all three styles, but its forte, its best application is the grease line method. Is that right? That's exactly right. All right. How's that progressive bend? Good job, Steve. Thanks for showing us the cast. Thank you, Steve.